Welcome to the Dream 100 Show, the epicenter of influence, collaboration, and exponential growth. You're about to discover the power of relationships. Dream 100 relationships. And you're one relationship away from a totally different business and life. This is your host, Michael Tesner.
Hey there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Dream 100 Show. Today is going to be the continuation where we're talking about some of the marketing trends. What am I forecasting for the year? And most importantly, where do I believe you need to be putting your attention, your energy, and your money this year? So last week we talked a lot about organic social content, organic social reach, and looking at opportunities on platforms like LinkedIn, especially if you're selling to businesses. That platform is so ripe for the picking right now. We also talked a lot about live social selling. Now, at the time of recording, maybe TikTok won't exist in the next week, but live social selling is not going to be going away. There's a lot of other platforms that can be used and are being used as well, especially if you have any kind of e-commerce product. And as always, we talked a little bit about kind of AI and kind of the AI glasses if you're looking forward 5 or 10 years, for example. Today, I wanted to focus on a couple of areas, and one that I believe is going to be the framework and kind of the trend isn't the right word, but what I'm seeing needs to be your focus for the year. And 2025 for me, and from what I'm recommending to you and teaching you, is that this needs to be the year of brand. The year of brand. Now, what do you mean by that? If I rewind like 15 years, there were a couple of concepts that I never really believed were overly important in the business sense. One of them was I kept being told you need to have a great culture at your organization. And I was like, yeah, I'll figure that out eventually. Now I've learned that culture is one of the most important aspects. It's one of the most areas that can make you more competitive against other organizations. And it's just widely important. But the other one is brand. And I never fully understood brand and branding. And like I thought of it as like your logo and kind of the colors and the font families and your name and things like that. But I never fully understood what it meant when I say this is the year of brand. And when I say this is the year of brand, this is going to be the main differentiating factor that you have against everyone else. Like, people are gunning for you 24/7. The amount of competition in every industry, there are really no blue oceans. One of my favorite books, Blue Ocean Strategy. Almost every ocean is considered red. Now, that doesn't mean you can't become a blue ocean business by doing all the different things that they've talked about, and that's one of the core elements is brand. But most industries, you have competition, and it's getting fiercer and fiercer. And especially with AI, everyone and their cousin thinks they know how to write social media content, and they're pumping out all this AI content and slapping it up on their blogs, and it's all well and good, but there's a lot of noise. And when there's a lot of noise, people look to brand to help make their buying and purchasing decisions. So how do you focus on brand? Like, what do you need to do? The most important thing that I need you to focus on this year is figuring out how you can become omnipresent in your marketplace. That means that your customers, your prospects, your vendors, your team see you and your brand name and your business or businesses everywhere they go. Everywhere. That's how you go in and you start to take over a category. To the place where people are calling you saying, Michael, I can't go anywhere without seeing your video or your face or one of your ads or your content. But being omnipresent means you need to have your A game on everything. You need to have your A game on organic social content, posting more than everyone else. LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, X, all these platforms, all of your content there. You need to be amplifying. So putting ad dollars, spend on the content that's working, that you're getting signals that people are, yeah, this is great. This tweet is going viral, or not even viral, but getting some attention. Great. Throw $500 at it. Amplify that to your audience. This video is resonating. Great. Throw $100 at that. And it's not just the social. It's looking at all the other places that you can then be omnipresent in. So your website obviously needs to be your main foundation. You then have the remarketing pixel, and that is a lot of the I see you everywhere. And I don't limit my remarketing pixels. I like to be pixeling people for as long as I possibly can so they literally see me everywhere. A week later, they jump over and they're reading some news on Fox, and they see one of my ads that's driving back to a free content resource. They're getting your emails in their inbox, minimum every single week. You're hitting them up with direct mail. One of the new strategies that we deployed, it's literally going out this week, is we're going to send a monthly magazine. Not even a newsletter, but a 50-page magazine. We're licensing, we're not writing 50 pages worth of content, but it's just another one of those little tools we're sending out this magazine that has good content and good information about business. And then our name is on it, my picture, and just is another way to be omnipresent. We're putting up ads on platforms like Hulu and Spotify and SiriusXM. We're starting to sponsor podcasts, YouTube channels, Twitch streamers. Because what ends up happening is literally you are everywhere. And when you're everywhere, they start to see your name, your brand, and then they start to associate that with whatever the product or service you're selling. Now, this takes a lot of effort. I'm not telling you that this is a 30-second thing you can throw $500 and all of a sudden you're omnipresent. You might be saying, Michael, I don't have the budgets to become omnipresent. Great. Start smaller. How much does it cost for you to be posting content on all of the social media platforms every day? Zero. Great. Well, what if I want to amplify a post? Then throw $10. Throw $1 a day. One of my mentors, Dennis Yu, talks about his $1 a day strategy. $1 a day. Pick a piece of content that you are seeing as working a little bit better than everything else and throw a small amount of money. It doesn't need to be huge budgets. You don't need to all of a sudden have every billboard and you're on every station and you're sponsoring every podcast, but find the right ones that your audience is showing up at. But the key is that omnipresence and brand needs to happen in that time frame so that it's not just, well, this month you're only doing social content. Month 2, you're going to add and you're going to do some stuff on Hulu, but you're moving your social budget to Hulu. And then month 3, you're going to move that budget and you're going to put it over here and you're going to do a billboard. That's not going to make you omnipresent. That's just moving your resources around. The key is that whole repetition, that good old marketing rule of the more times people are seeing you, they get into a buying readiness state. I could make up a number because nobody actually knows what that right number is right now. Way back when, it was like 10 times they needed to see you. I would argue at this point it's 50 to 100, if not more. So if you know they're going to need to see you at least 50 times, are there some exceptions? You've got a flood in your basement, you're going to call a plumber. Do you need to see that plumber 50 times to be able to buy from them? Most likely not. Are you going to have some recall and think of the plumber that has the billboard, all the beautiful trucks that are wrapped, that's running TV commercials? You're probably going to think of that plumber first. But there are certain instances like that it's going to advance faster than normal. But they need to be seeing you everywhere so that this year of brand starts to come true. I want them to connect with you. I want them to make that brand connection to you, to your team, so they know, like, and trust you faster, and that just builds a lot more loyalty. This, to me, is going to be the year of brand. Now, the second big thing, to me, this is also going to be the year that I want you to do the unscalable. And this is why I love the Dream 100 framework. So I was at an event yesterday, Strategic Coach with Dan Sullivan. Great group. This was year 3 just ended for me. And everyone kept asking, how do I use AI to replace X? I want to replace X. Replace. Mistake number 1 is that I'm not looking for AI to replace everyone. I'm looking for AI to accelerate. So if you've got a content writer and they're posting 50 times a week, how can AI help them post 500 times a week? I still want that human element. So, well, Michael, what do you recommend as the marketing guy? I believe there's only one other marketing person out of 50 or 60 business owners. So I had a lot of really fun lunch conversations with really interesting businesses niches that we do not serve. So it keeps me sharp when I'm having to come up with marketing strategies for one of the business owners did a particular type of bond for contractors. Another one was a holistic longevity center. Another one was an engineering consulting firm. So lots of really interesting stuff. So Michael, what would you do? That said the Dream 100. And I'm not saying that selfishly because I own the brand. What I love about the Dream 100 is that it's not necessarily an easily scalable tactic. It's doing all the stuff that people do not want to do. It's finding the audience and going extremely deep into every one of those connections. It's the hyper-personalization of gifts. The podcast element is getting so much more important, and that also is largely tied into the year of brand. Everyone should have a podcast. I don't care what your business is. Even if you're not deploying the Dream 100 and using the podcast in the way that I teach you. But it's the stuff that doesn't easily scale because your competitors, they're going to fizz out. I don't really know if I want to do that. You want me to send 50 handwritten letters? You want me to order 20 sets of $100 cookies, write a handwritten letter to every one of those, use a wax seal with your initials or your logos and literally the old-fashioned wax. You want to wrap the gift, and then you want me to call like 15 times over? That's too much work. Doing the stuff that nobody else wants to do is going to put you in a league against everyone else. The Dream 100 works because it's hyper-personalized, and everyone else is just, they're trying to do more, and I want you to be doing more of everything and casting a little bit of a wider net. But I want you to be laser focused on these Dream 100 relationships and going after them literally like a dog with a bone. All the stuff that you can do that is not overly easy. Researching and stalking the heck out of them so that you're just adding value. Hey, can I introduce you to someone that I know you wrote something on LinkedIn and you were looking for a copywriter to join your organization. I recently hired one. I've got 10 other people that I would have hired tomorrow. Can I send you those resumes? Doing the stuff that does not scale will be your secret weapon this year. And it's going to be a lot of one-to-one outreach as we have been teaching you via the Dream 100. Building those relationships so that you have those relationships in your hip pocket before other people do. And then continuing to nurture those relationships. Not just getting the relationship, doing the podcast interview and saying, so grateful, but then literally adding value, playing the long game. And then when you tie in this omnipresence and brand so that they're getting all of your personal follow-ups, your personal gifts, you're not giving them generic one-size-fits-all anything, and the omnipresence aspect to where they're seeing you here, all over the place, between brand and doing the unscalable, you will absolutely dominate this year. Absolutely dominate. Now, if I look at what else is working, paid traffic is obviously continuing to work very, very well. So media buying, but that's not a trend. I like to look at the things that have a much higher barrier of entry. Building a brand, being omnipresent, doing unscalable Dream 100 stuff, that has a much higher barrier to entry. I can start a Facebook ad campaign in 15 minutes and be up and running live for any brand, easy. Is it going to be insanely successful? Probably not in 15 minutes, but that barrier to entry is just too low. Is that stuff still working? 100%. It needs to be a tool in your tool belt. Organic social content we talked a ton about. Accelerate that. Search engine optimization. I need you to be dominating in Google, but also ChatGPT is now starting to answer questions if you're asking about particular businesses. So building out that content pool so that it knows that you're the preferred local business for that particular area. You're the preferred vendor. You're the go-to for X. That's not a new trend, but that's something you need to continue working on. But I want to see you focusing on your content game this year, your brand building, the omnipresence, and then tying everything up in a bow with continuing to do the stuff that doesn't scale. Think about the value of one Dream 100 relationship. One, they have to be able to double your business. One relationship. So why are you going after the people that can give you $100 when you know that one relationship could refer you $500,000 in business over the next year? Go after the whales. Go after the people that are going to be harder to reach. Go after the people that you can reach in the shorter term, but doing all that unscalable marketing stuff is going to help you dominate and win in 2025. I'm rooting for you. I want this to be your year. Michael Tazzer signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'll see you next week.